What's going on, people? So, as the description and whatnot says, got the Sonic Blast in now. So, pick these up today from Running Etc. That's why they're in this bag, right? I do like to say where I get stuff so that way people who are wondering know. I don't know if that's like the most useful information or whatever, but sometimes people do ask. But honestly, like a lot of times when people ask like where I got something, they're asking on like some obscure thing like 2 years after the fact. It's like, dude, these aren't wherever they may have been anymore. Anyway, so this right here, there it is, Sonic Blast, all that stuff, kind of focused, I guess. Focused as it's gonna be. This webcam, I often say this, kind of sucks. Should I get a new one? Totally, yeah. So I could have better videos and stuff. But I mean, outside of that vomero plus thing, a lot of people aren't really watching these lives like that anyway, so it's not super necessary, but it would just, again, make for a better product. So there is that. But I don't know, I'm not going to go and research webcams because I kind of just don't care a whole lot either. So that's the other part of it, right? You got to care. If not, you're only going to put so much into something. Anyways, that's where the real reviews come in, because they're in stunning high definition. So, anyways, this right here is the asics Super Blast, Sonic Blast. Now that is the Super Blast right there. So, anyways, this one right here, right? We're going to talk about these for just a second. I forget what color they call this, like Winter Sea, right? Because it's the same exact colorway as the Kayano 32s I picked up most recently. So, yeah, this right here, asics Sonic Blast in Winter Sea. There we go. Now we're all caught up. Let's jump into it down on the bottom first. So down there, the way the outsole is looking, it's very much like a lot of the things that they've been doing lately. So that's nothing too crazy. But down in there in the middle-ish area, you do have a little hole in there to see that plate, right? Because this is a plated shoe. And you can, jumping over to the midsole real quick though, on the outside, it's kind of just like looking like the Nova Blast and the Super Blast and stuff, right, from the past, with a little bit of color down in here where the Flight Foam Turbo Squared is. And then down over here, you do have a little bit of piece of the plate there as well, right? Peeking through. So that's kind of what's going on there. And I'll get back to the whole plate thing towards the end, comparing some things, talking about some things, but largely it's not going to be like anything significant like the carbon plated ones, not anything crazy, I should say. But it's going to be good enough for like a daily trainer sort of thing. That's what this is. As far as the upper goes, this is feeling a lot like the typical like meshes that I've been dealing with a lot lately. Especially not far off of this one right here. This will come into play in a second here. This is the Hyperion Max 2. The 3 just came out a little while ago, so in case you're curious. So the 2, while very nice, should also be on sale, but you could also just get the 3. Either way, moving back over here, I do really like the way they did this design on the outside here. It's matching up pretty much exactly with what they have on the inside. But I don't know, I think it's just like a cool look. But that's just my opinion. And then as you get to the back, there's really nothing else going on. Pretty seamless as far as the shoe build goes overall. So I do like that. Jumping over to the front. So laces wise, these laces here, I do get kind of like used to some of the other ways that they're doing things. Like these, how they have the little ridges in there so they don't slip through so easily, right? So we'll see how this whole thing plays out. But either way, it's just got the standard plain laces. And as they've been doing on a lot of these, down behind there, you do have Sonic Blast written along the tongue. And the tongue style is going to be much like you've been seeing on like the Nova Blast and the Kayano 32s. And can't think of what the Nimbus looks like. Honestly, I haven't worn them enough times to really remember. But either way, that's the look that they've been going with lately. And it works out very well, in my opinion, right? It's thin, it's breathable, and all that stuff. Keeps the weight down. On the inside, things are very plain. It says Sonic Blast in there. That's pretty much what they've been doing with like a lot of these lately, right? So that one had like megablast on the inside. So that's how things have been going. So otherwise, that's kind of the overview, right? Now, like I was kind of talking about, this whole thing being one of those like daily trainer shoes, right? So that doesn't mean you can't wear stuff on race day. It's just meant to run around in these on a daily basis, get ready for things, and then on race day you pull out something fancy, right? So this right here, like I said, it is plated. It's not carbon. It's like a nylon type of plate, right? and that's nothing really new from Asics. They've broken out a few of these over the last while. So there was the glideride Max, right? You can't see the plate. This was one of those that popped up and was pretty nice, right? Very cushiony. I honestly don't really like this shoe a whole lot. I talked about that a while ago. I'm not going to go digging deep into it now because they kind of seem irrelevant at this point, honestly. They worked out well enough to get results in them, but just comparing them to other things, just not really a favorite, especially when I consider something like this. I do remember liking these a bit more. This is the magicspeed 4. I do remember liking these a good bit more than the glideride Max, but I honestly can't remember anything about them because it's been so long since I wore them. So I might have to break these out soon. And these are also plated. That's the reason I brought these up. These you can't see the plate because like the foam is kind of covering it all and all that. But these you do see the plate down in there, right? So they do have other plated shoes that have been breaking out in a similar price point for the last while. So that's cool. But the most recent one of that tier that I've really liked was this right here, the Brooks Hyperion Max 2. So it is plated as well. This is going to be the same sort of material as on the Sonic Blast here, right? And much like that, you can also see the plate from the side just a little bit. But these I was a big fan of. I don't have the 3 yet. It'll happen at some point more than likely, probably when they have more colors. But for now, we're just not going to do that. But then as far as like race day type things go, if you are looking for like something with a plate in there that's going to be for performance, you have these over here. This is going to be, so this one over here is going to be the sky, right? And this one over here is going to be the edge. I mean, they look very much the, Jesus, they look totally the same from a distance. I mean, the overall coloring, like you have white for the flight foam leap on here, right? And you also have the white over here. So the one thing being that the plate design sits a little bit lower on the edge, right? So let's get that out of the way. So there you have that, like the edge, right? So that's why you have the white part at the top is the leap, and the plate sits below that, whereas the plate sits above on the sky, right? So a little bit higher. So that's like the visual difference. It's a very minor thing, but also if you look at the way the words are, that'll kind of give you that too, because it's telling you like on this one, the leap is lower, and on this one, the leap is higher, right? So just something to think about. But those are race day stuff, race day things, right? They come in at like 250. These are sitting at like 180, right? So you're gonna save a good bit of money. If you don't need anything like that, don't worry about anything like that, and you can stick with something like this. I say that right now, but I honestly don't know how these are gonna work out. I feel like they're gonna work out very well though, right? Because for me, one of the things I didn't like about the glideride Max, right? This guy right here, if you forgot. One thing I didn't like about that was that it was just so squishy under the foot, right? So when I start running, like if I'm going like for speed, it felt unstable, unsafe, all that, right? And I was like, I don't like this, compared to so many other things at this same price point, at the same level, doing the same thing. I like all of these things better. So again, it wasn't a bad shoe. It just, if you wear enough things, you just start to have your own preferences. You get a little picky. It happens. I'm putting these things on so I can talk about sizing real quick. I did wear these briefly in store today because they've had them in the store for like a couple of weeks now. I just never really went over there to try them on or anything. I figure like today's the street date, so they can actually sell them. So I'll just go over there and buy them and just see how it all works out later. I mean, after I tried them on, obviously, but I'm gonna really run in them later. But so this right here, right? Sizing wise, that's where we are in this video. So they're fitting true to size to me, right? I am wearing some running socks, so I just came back from run group night, right? So I'm wearing the type of thing that I would wear in here. You don't have a whole lot of room. It's enough, right? You definitely seem like you have a good bit, like from front to back, side to side. It's not terrible, but depending on like what types of socks you wear, that could throw things off just a little bit. But I'm thinking that true to size should work out for a lot of people. Now, one thing that somebody brought up in a comment, and it's something that I've talked about in conversations and just completely forget about because it's rare to think about it. But some people feel like, as you run like longer, your feet kind of like swell up and stuff from just running and all that, which is a thing. It happens, right? So they like to go up half a size on mostly all of their running shoes, I think is what they were saying. And I've heard other people say that too. In some cases, it's even suggested. So I did order a size 10 of these in a different color. So I'm going to do that little experiment and see if going up a half size really like makes things feel better after running a while, which sucks in a way because I don't like to run long distances. But figure maybe if I do like 6 to 7, that should be okay, right? I'm not going to be out here doing like double digits. I just did that yesterday. I wasn't thrilled about it, but it was whatever. So anyways, sizing wise, true to size, I feel like that's going to work out for a lot of people, right? But that's just how I'm feeling right now. Once I get moving around in them, that could change. But even walking around in the store, I still obviously sided with the 9.5, right? Now, off of that, these are an 8 mm drop. It's 45 in the back, 37 in the front. Yeah. So it's going to be somewhat level. It's not going to be like the 10s and 12s that I've seen on certain other things. Because usually, for me, when I walk around and stuff like that, it makes me feel like I'm sliding more forward, and then you feel like you have less room in the toe box because of that, right? So, which again could come into play with going up a half size on certain things, on running shoes, that is. But I'll talk about all that stuff later. I'm planning to start breaking these out this week because I just finished the last week of running around with the megablast, and so that's behind me now. Well, I got to do an actual review about it, but that's behind me. Now it's on to these. I'm thinking things are going to work out all right, but you'll be some of the first people to know about it, other than people who are like physically around me and happen to ask, right? So there we go. There's that. I do like them a fair amount so far. It's a very cool color, this blue. Though honestly, I almost didn't buy it because I saw it at first. And I'm like, oh, I like the blue pair. But then I realized it was the same exact look as the Kayano 32s I just bought. And I was like, I wouldn't mind a little bit of variety here. But since I'm then later told myself I was just going to get both pair or two pair, then I'm like, well, I guess now it doesn't matter. Now does it? So anyways, moving on past that, over to these right here, this little follow-up of the Mega Blast. So I've been wearing these since last Wednesday, right? Where's that Super Blast? Remember I was talking about these guys a minute ago. I'm gonna need them now. So I've been wearing these since last Wednesday, running through the streets and whatnot. So let's see, Wednesday. Wednesday was run group day, right? So took off in these, and I will say this, like these things felt fantastic from the start, right? They felt good when I first put them on in the store, sure, but that means nothing. You're just walking around in a store. When I actually got these out into the streets and whatever, I don't even think we had been I don't even think we were even like a block into like how far we were going. But I could tell like just from the responsiveness and all that, that this was about to be a nice, fluid, smooth, very energetic run, and it totally was, right? Because compared to this, right? So the Super Blast 2, see that white stuff at the bottom? And then you see like the teal part, right? Yeah. So they kind of switched things up a little bit as far as like not giving you like all like the good foam on those. Whereas this time around they went all in, right? So this time it's flat foam turbo square, like the whole midsole, which I believe is I'm feeling like it's like the same setup as the Sonic Blast as far as like heel height and stuff goes. Either way, so this time you have all like the top tier foam down in there, similar to what Nike did with the Vomero Plus, right? So the thing being that it's lighter, more responsive, all that stuff, and you totally feel that. For one, it is nice and light, right? But when you get going, it's got a nice little bounce to it, but like not crazy, because I don't like anything to be like super bouncy. But this, it was just stiff enough, but just responsive enough energy return, all that nonsense they always throw around that I often overlook. But yeah, it was a real thing. So I was running to these, felt really good. I was able to get some, I mean, I can run pretty fast in like most things, but it's just about like how much effort does it take. And with these, it took like next to none, which I was a fan of. Then this weekend on Saturday was a 5K. I was just pacing somebody for that. It was around 7:30, so nothing too crazy. But again, this was nice to have because it's nice, it's cushiony, sure. So I thought like I'm not going to be going fast, but this should still be fine. The only problem with that was that if I'm not like running quickly, right, which I wasn't for the Saturday, because like I said, 7:30, right? But trying to move slowly in these, like they want to move forward, like they want to propel you from one step to the next, which is cool because for 225, you want something that's gonna like make its presence known. But at the same time, I kind of needed to like reel it back in a little bit. So it's like a good problem to have, right? Moving on to Sunday, I was at a 10 miler. That's what it was. And I was one of the pacers, right? So running around with the sign like, follow me if you want an 8 minute pace on this run that we're doing, right? That was the thing of it. Maybe you saw a picture of it. It's on the internet. Anyway, so I'm running around doing that 8 minutes. I was thinking this should be a good shoe for this, right? Because even though it's not going to be a fast pace, it'll still have the cushion, right? Because I already made this decision to wear these for the weekend. So wearing these, things went very well for me. Had no complaints. Again, there were certain moments where I could feel like going faster was certainly an option, like even especially with the way the weather was, but couldn't do it, right? So on that side, the thing to take away from that is they're still going to be nice and cushiony. So if you are kind of like running a little bit slower, it's still going to be a good one to have, right? Now today, the final day wearing these to kind of sell some opinions or whatever, went out with another run group today, and we took off, and they had said well, there's like four of us in this out of like the 40 or 30 whatever people there. So yeah, I think we should. I want to do like seven for like 4 miles or something. And someone's like, maybe 650 to seven, I guess. So they were just settling that, and I was just like, dude, like I'm whatever. I'll do whatever you guys are doing. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just here. And so we take off going right, and I could feel that I was moving quickly, but I thought maybe it's just like the way the shoes are. Maybe I'm not really moving that fast. And I had the navigation mode on, so all I had was the map picture. You can scroll out to the stats, but I just left the map up because I'm like, it doesn't matter, right? Pace doesn't matter today. So either way, because I figure I'm just gonna run with the other people. So I'm running, right? And it's feeling pretty good, like really good, honestly. And I'm thinking, okay, everybody's like around me, so I guess we're doing fine because there's somebody to my side. But we get to where the turn is, and I look behind me for like the other two or three people. They are nowhere to be seen. They're like way back there. And then I hear like the little Garmin lady in my ear, like current pace, like 6:30. And I'm like, oh man. So that first mile was like 6:30, right? And it felt like super smooth. Like there was no effort at all. So that's a cool thing to have. Because again, this thing is made to give you a nice speed boost, and it totally does that. So I know that's a long story that you probably didn't really need. I could have just condensed that, but whatever. It's already out there. I can't unsay it. So either way, take these from whatever website where you buy shoes from, and know that you're going to get a good experience out of them. Now, I will also say this, as I often do, I don't like to oversell anything. I'm just saying that these worked out very well for me for being something that's quite light and quite speedy. So everything that I liked about these, and I've basically the same way like the Vomero 18 to the Vomero Plus, I feel the same way here in that like I had no issues with these, and I thought, well, these are great. Everybody's saying they're great, and they truly are. But then I put these on, and I'm like, these are these are still fine. I got no complaints about them. But yeah, this is a whole new world here. So they come in at 225 compared to the 200 on these, but I think it's worth it, right? They don't have a whole lot of colors right now. There's only the two. There's this one, and there's like a whitish one. But I'm pretty sure they'll be dropping a whole lot of them because these are probably going to be on an 18-month product cycle too. Because the Super Blast 2 is right. That's what they changed it to because those just came out about a year ago, right? Because I think when I went to my first group run in August of last year, they were demoing the Super Blast 2s, and they only had like the Paris colorway at the time. Yeah, and then shortly after those over there, the bold magenta and the pink glow pair came out. So yeah, they're probably going to be 18 months as well. Anyways, quick little recap so I can get on out of here because I am so freaking hungry, dude. This right here is what we started off with. This is the Asics Sonic Blast. I'm still getting used to these names. I kept calling these the magic speeds for a while. Like, either way, asics, sonic blast, right? Daily trainer, plated, not carbon, but plated. It's like some sort of like nylon type of whatever, right? So it should be good. It's a little stiffer, right? That's one thing I didn't quite mention. It's a little stiffer on the midsole, which I think I'm going to like because that's why I'm a big fan of the Hyperion series, because when things are a little cushiony, I just kind of feel a little slower, right? So something a little stiffer makes me feel a little bit faster, and it does often work that way, right? And then moving on to this right here, this is the asics megablast. So they come in at 225 compared to the 180 here. So you can wear these daily as well, and then on race day, pick out your one of these or something, the edge or the sky. They'll be great for you. But yeah, so daily trainer as well, very responsive. If you liked the Super Blast 2, you'll like these. It's a similar fit in my personal opinion, right? Which again was true to size for these. So you have that going for yourself. If you go ahead to think about picking those up, I would suggest it. I truly would. But anyways, that is it for me, right? I have videos that I need to make, and honestly, I've kind of just forgot. Got the Jordan 12 over there. Got to do a follow-up on the Vomero Plus as well. So those are two things. And then now that I'm done with like the megablast, I can do that all in one shot and not have to do like an actual follow-up. And then I'll probably spend my next times with these. And sooner or later, I'll get to these edges and skies, but I usually like to tie in my reviews with like actual events where I'm going to wear the shoes. And I don't see myself running anything anytime soon that's going to be like speed driven. So that's why the metaspeeds have been kind of like on the back burner. That's what's going on. So real quick, before I get out of here, I'm just going to see if I can keep this under a minute, 2 or 3 minutes. For anyone who cares, the Vomero Plus. I kind of alluded to it a little minute ago or something. The Vomero 18, I did great in. I did the Shamrock in those 7 minutes for the 8K, 7:45 for the half marathon. Things were great, right? They're super cushiony, but you can still move in them pretty quickly, right? You got to put in some work for it though. You do, because it's not just going to give it to you like these mega blasts. But the Vomero Plus, all that same stuff just beefed up a bit, right? And I think they're either the same weight or lighter somehow, but they're so much more responsive because this time around you get all the Zoom X down there, right? So you have that going for yourself. It's going to be a good time, right? I put those on, was running around. They felt a little bouncy walking around in them at first, and I don't like that. But I think either I got used to it or it just kind of like breaks in a little bit to where it's not as bouncy. But I went out last week, ran both pairs at the track, doing a fast lap, with one, fast mile, half mile, whatever it was I was doing. Pretty good speeds in the 18s. Switched over to the pluses. Did just as good, just as well, I should say. But felt like I didn't have to work as hard for it. So there's that for you, because they do look like they'd be a little bit slow, but they actually move pretty good. So I got no complaints about that. And I assume, much like the 18, they'll have a whole bunch of colorways soon. So while I am sitting here saying all these great things about them, I wouldn't suggest picking them up just yet, because once all those colors come out, the stores can't hold on to all of them. So then those price drops happen, because 180 for the pluses, it's kind of a lot, right? Not everybody's trying to pay that, and I get it. So don't. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I've said everything I needed to say and a whole lot more. So I'm going to stop, because it's been like almost 25 minutes. And when I started doing the Vomero thing, the goal was let's stay under the 25. And I've done that. So thanks to anyone who's showed up, listened to this, or is doing that like later on in the future, whatever. Appreciate your time, no matter how much or how little you choose to give me. Even if you, like I said before, even if you showed up by accident, I appreciate that too. All right, I will possibly have actual content this week. I'm not going to commit to that, but it's a possibility, a very, very small possibility. Later, people.